1995 promised to look bright for the young Simtek team. They produced a competitive midfield car, but only after a handful of races they went bankrupt. In 1994, Simtek Grand Prix made its debut in Formula 1. Team owner Nick Wirth made an interesting sponsorship deal with MTV Europe and contracted David Brabham and Roland Ratzenberger as drivers.
Powered by the customer version of the Cosworth HB V8, the Simtek is hoping to follow the success of Jordan in its debut season when the Irish team took on the big names in earnest. The new regulations should help the Simtek greatly.
This car has been designed to have its neck wrung and driven absolutely on the limit.
Another new team for 94 is Simtek. Driver David Brabham rates their chances.
I think we could be up there and have a few surprises. We're going to have ups and downs, but I'd like to think that towards the end of the season we'll get a lot more competitive and hopefully, get the odd point now and then.
And Simtek announced Roland Ratzenberger as their second driver, despite this little indiscretion at the Variante Bassa.
The San Marino Grand Prix, however, takes a tragic turn. 31-year-old Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger in the Simtek leaves the circuit at the flat-out Villeneuve kink on the approach to Tosa.
It was the first time that I find myself shaking after accident. I was sitting in the car, I watched it on the monitor, and when they start to put him out of the car, I could see that it's going to be very, very bad. And of course, in our job, you're sometimes a bit prepared to see situations like this. But as it was another Austrian driver, as it was a personal contact to a person, it's even worse. And I know you should not make a difference between a driver what you know and a driver what you don't know, but it affects you in a different way.
With Ratzenberger's accident still uppermost in everyone's minds, the cars duly line up for the race. Bravely, David Brabham and the Simtek team choose to continue. In Saturday morning's free practice session, Montemini runs wide on the exit of the last corner onto the start-finish straight with horrific consequences. He is very lucky to escape with a broken left heel and a broken right foot.
And Taki Inui just manages to avoid Katayama's car as he performs a similar pirouette. It's enough to warrant the safety car and give the marshals an opportunity to clear the wreckage.
The World Championship leader leads and spin! That's Mimo Schiatarelli, who had rejoined the race.
Not surprisingly, Simtek scored 0 points in a debut season full of disasters.
Jos Verstappen is released from Benetton testing duties to join Nick Wirth's Simtek team.
Domenico Schiatarella gets the second Simtek seat after making his debut with the team at Jerez last year.
The new Simtek S951 was presented at the MTV Europe headquarters.
Simtek heeft veel geleerd, vind ik, het afgelopen jaar, wat weinig succesvol was, maar deze auto moet nieuwe tijden inleiden. Hij is helemaal nieuw ontworpen. Hij lijkt vooral vrij hoekig te zijn, in tegenstelling tot de andere ontwerpen die we gezien hebben, lijkt de Simtek een hele andere weg te volgen. Misschien is dat wel een hele goede weg. Naast Jos zijn de Italiaan Mimo Schiatarella en de Japaner Hideki Noda de rijders.
Right from the outset, it was apparent that the S951 was a giant leap forward for Simtek. Jos Verstappen was able to do midfield battles with the Minardis, Tyrrells, Ligiers, Saubers and Arrows. Verstappen reported that it was an easy car to drive, rather like a go-kart, and as a result he could maximize the potential of the car.
He needs as much track time as he can get, but fortunately for Mansell and for Mercedes-Benz, there was no damage to their V10 engine. They've just replaced the coolers. What they have done is fit an oil bypass until the oil temperature is up to the operating temperature. Then they can go through the cooler, and they hope that has resolved this particular problem.
Jos Verstappen still the man most likely to set the early pace in this particular session. He's done a 1:39.830 as his first flying lap, but obviously there'll be some big improvements to that as we go through the course of this session. There, the target time. That's the Variante Alta, the corner where Michael Schumacher went off this morning. It wasn't a particularly high-speed accident against the wall by the time he got to the concrete, but nevertheless ripping off that right front, and the team working quite hard to get the car ready again.
Well, it was a most unusual incident because we've seen cars go off at relatively low speeds and come to rest beside these barriers around the circuit. But in this instance, whatever the angle that Michael Schumacher's right front made contact, it literally just popped the suspension joints in the top and the bottom of the upright off, and the wheel then just fell over the top of the car. And I have to say, I was surprised, but of course, suspensions are not necessarily designed for that type of...
The new Simtek's full potential came to light at the Argentine Grand Prix. Jos Verstappen managed to qualify an incredible 14th. Team owner Nick Ward was ecstatic after this result.
Hello.
Hello. I'm very happy at the moment.
Why are you happy?
No particular reason. No, it's fantastic. I mean, we've had such a difficult start to the year, and some people are saying that Jos might have made the wrong move. I think he's been really cheerful and really helped us along, because ever since the first time we drove the car, he felt very comfortable in it. And it's just so good to have it all come together. I feel sorry for Mimo, because he could have gone quicker. He was held up by a McLaren if you watched it on the television, and he's very angry at the moment because he could have gone a lot quicker. You know, we've never had a top 20 qualifying before. To have two in one go, and Jos 14th, absolutely fantastic. And you know, we don't care if it rains or it's dry tomorrow, because we were very confident that we were going to get up there in the dry as well. Jos felt very happy, confident he could have gone 2 seconds quicker than he did this morning.
Well done.
So we're really happy. I just hope the car's reliable now. You know, you don't know about that, but because we haven't done a lot of running with it, so we may have, you know, we work on that. But for now, we're really happy, very pleased.
In the race, Verstappen managed to do battle with Ratzenberger's Ferrari V12. He steadily gained positions all the way up to P6 until his gearbox failed, which was a common problem for the Simtek car that year.
Another good start by David Coulthard now. Is he going to get into the first corner first again? Yes, he is. But this time it looks to me as though Michael Schumacher has got behind him. And there's debris. That is Mika Häkkinen's car. And Mika Häkkinen spins off into the gravel and is out. It looked to me like Eddie Irvine's right front wing was damaged, and I think it may well have been a coming together between Irvine's right front wing that then punctured the left rear of Häkkinen, and that could be, well, it's obviously meant the end of Mika Häkkinen's race. Now we may see a slow Eddie Irvine Jordan coming back to the pits for a new front nose section. But who is leading the race as they stream through this part of the circuit? Out of control and spinning off, but I think he induced that himself. Almost at the end of the first lap, coming across the line very shortly out of the very difficult left-hander which claims so many people, and it is the Williams Renault of David Coulthard in the lead, and his teammate Mike Damon Hill is sandwiching Michael Schumacher's Benetton and starting to close up on it. Andrea Montemini is out of the Argentine Grand Prix, as is his teammate Bertrand Gachot, so that's rotten luck for Keith Wiggins' team. And on lap 3, the order, the top 6, Coulthard, Schumacher that you're riding with now, Damon Hill, Salo is 4th, Alesi is 5th, Princeton is 6th.
Well, great starts there and great first laps from Mika Salo up to 4th place, from 7th on the grid was quite superb, but also Yukio Katayama. Neither Coulthard nor Hill are under pressure. The man under pressure is Michael Schumacher. And in the course of time, I'm quite sure that it's going to go Williams' way.
Sciattarella is in front of them. He's inexperienced in Grand Prix terms. Started well, is racing well, but now he's being challenged by the Ligier, who goes through on the inside. Schumacher goes through. Is Sciattarella going to stay wide and let Damon Hill through? Yes, he's done so. Schumacher's passed the Ligier, Damon Hill is past the Ligier, David Coulthard is past the Ligier, and Mark Blundell is the second McLaren Mercedes out of the race, and Hill takes the lead. Damon Hill on lap 11 brilliantly takes the lead from Michael Schumacher. Jos Verstappen is the highest that a Simtek has ever been in a Grand Prix because he's in 10th place.
Already Barrichello, who started from the pit lane. They're both doing very good lap times.
Brilliant by Rubens Barrichello, because remember the problems he's had during this race already. But meantime, there is the race leader here in Argentina, Jean Alesi, the mercurial French Sicilian. It's a bit of a cliche, that statement, but that is exactly what he is. Watch his head on the corners if the producer stays with him. He tips it over in the direction of the corner, just like a racing motorcyclist. Magnificent stylist. He's got that Ferrari absolutely on the limit.
Lacey, but then there's one of the Simtek cars that looks like it's pulling off there now. Very good indeed, no mistakes there at all.
And that, I am desperately sorry to say, was Jos Verstappen walking in. Obviously, something happened during the tyre stop for the Simtek, and the gallant and determined Dutchman who'd fought his way up into 6th position in a car that nobody thought was capable of it is out of the race. But he doesn't look too unhappy, and he certainly doesn't deserve to. He's made a point for himself and the team.
Sadly, it was soon all coming to an end for Simtek. By the time they reached Monaco, money was becoming a desperate struggle.
Monaco marked the last Grand Prix for Nick Worth's Simtek team. Lack of funds cited as the reason after a passionate last-chance plea to his sponsors. Domenico Sciattarella scored the team's best result of 95 with 9th place in Argentina. And Jos Verstappen had been lying 6th in the same race before retiring with gearbox problems.
Nick Wirth revealed that in 18 months the team had amassed a £6 million debt, especially after a broken deal with a sponsor and bogus bank transfers. It was a real shame to see Simtek going bankrupt that early in 1995. They finally had a good car, with a speedy driver in Jos Verstappen, but not a stable financial basis. To give Simtek a more happy ending and wave them a final goodbye in this video, let's watch Jos Verstappen doing some practice laps at Barcelona.
When his competitors all had 21, 2 or 3 laps, and that's a lot of time on the track to lose.
Jos Verstappen coming round to start his first time lap, and Roberto Moreno is the other man that's just come out onto the circuit, but only those two at the moment, although Carl Wendling has just left the pit lane. He actually is qualified 20th fastest.
Carlo, and the big problem for him seems to be in qualifying. In fact, what he has done is invited Dr. Helmut Marko, a former Grand Prix driver and World Sports Car Championship driver, and there we see Jos Verstappen just displaying the kind of excitement that he gave us here on Friday morning on a very greasy and slippery track, and seemingly having not a lot more grip than he actually had 24 hours ago. But going back to Carl Wendlinger, the problem is he can't go out and do those one-off first lap qualifying blinds that is so necessary to get the maximum performance from the tyre and from the car. And with a teammate like Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is renowned for his out-of-the-box speed, it's getting to Carl Wendlinger. In the race, he's fine, he can settle down, stabilizes, but the problem is he's starting from so far back in the grid that the good work that he does in the race is going unnoticed. And very good that Verstappen, almost repeating what we saw happen here last year for Andrea Montermini when he got wide. Verstappen, I hope, had the wisdom to lift off and check that car, but you've got to be very careful coming onto the straight, because one move too wide and that the verge on the side of the track, then the gravel trap. Let's look again. Look, almost disaster, but Verstappen pulled it back, continues on. That lap, by the way, 1 minute 27.466, and that's a marginal improvement on his time from Friday afternoon, but of course doesn't really do very much for his good position. He is still in 18th place.
Well, Verstappen was in fact 12th fastest in the free practice session yesterday morning, which certainly gave us some indication that he should have done well in qualifying. Those gearbox problems certainly holding him back, but as he's through the chicane, over the curbing once again.
And really what Verstappen is doing is, it's almost overdriving. He's just trying almost too hard to push the car, to drive the car on, because when you get a 12th place in any session, it lifts you, it lifts the team so much, and you assume that you're going to be there for the rest of the sessions. By the way, Damon Hill has just made his way down to the end of the pit lane and is going to be on track and on our picture, I think, very shortly.
So Verstappen continues round. We've certainly got quite a few more cars out on circuit, and in fact Michael Schumacher has also just come out onto the circuit. John was saying how he used old tyres this morning to set his time in that free practice session. Damon Hill was on new tyres.